If the F-22 Raptor's blueprints leaked tomorrow, copying it would still be impossible, and the reason isn't what you'd think. Let me explain. The F-22 can supercruise past Mach 1.5 without ever touching its afterburners, meaning it stays supersonic without burning fuel like crazy. Building an engine like that is brutally hard. Its two Pratt and Whitney F119 engines are some of the most advanced ever made. Then, there's the skin. The jet is coated in radar-absorbent material applied with microscopic precision, so even tiny flaws would light it up on radar. Very few countries have the tech to pull that off. But here's the real reason. The F-22 is built aerodynamically unstable. It literally can't fly without computers making thousands of corrections every second. Blueprints or not, that's the part nobody can copy.
How do fighter jet pilots eat and use the bathroom while flying? Unlike large aircraft that have galleys and restrooms, fighter jets are small, designed with just enough room for the pilot. When flying with bombers and refueling tankers on long missions, pilots can spend 10 to 15 hours in the skies. So eating and going to the bathroom mid-flight becomes essential. For food, pilots rely on easy-to-eat snacks like energy bars, nuts, and squeezable meal tubes that don't require both hands or take their eyes off the sky. When it comes to using the bathroom, in the past, most fighter jets used containers with a special filter to get rid of the bad smell. However, this method had a big problem. To use it, the pilot had to use two hands, which meant letting go of the control stick. But modern fighter jets have a new way. Specially designed pants equipped with an extraction system known as the PZ-1. This system means pilots don't need to reach for a bottle or stretch out during a mission. Everything flows smoothly through a hose into a cleaning system and is then sent overboard.
On February 4, 2023, a Chinese spy balloon floated off the coast of South Carolina at 65,000 feet, and the Air Force sent its most advanced fighter jet to take it out. Here's why. The F-16 can technically reach that altitude, but not reliably with a full weapons load. The F-22 carries its weapons internally, no external drag, and its supercruise lets it climb fast without burning afterburner. At 65,000 feet, the air is so thin it's closer to Mars than Earth. The F-22's flight controls handle that environment better than anything else in the fleet. One F-22 climbed to 58,000 feet, fired a single AIM-9X Sidewinder, and the balloon was gone. First air-to-air kill in the Raptor's history, against a balloon. Black seems like the obvious color for a military jet, so why don't they use it? The sky at altitude isn't pure black, it's a shifting blue-gray. A jet painted flat black actually stands out against it, making it easier to spot, not harder. Gray matches the sky, that's it. At combat distances, a half-second of visual advantage decides who goes home. The F-117 Nighthawk was painted black, and the Air Force later acknowledged it wasn't suitable for daytime operations. Black looks intimidating. Gray keeps you alive. 3 real fighter jets found where nobody expected them. In Hungary, a photographer discovered 29 MiG-21 fighters and 5 Su-22 bombers lined up in a field next to a disused runway, left exactly where they were when the Cold War ended. Nobody moved them. They just sat there, fading. In the Balkans, explorers found a mountain base built to house 80 MiG-21s and over 1,000 soldiers. When the Yugoslav military abandoned it, they detonated 50 tons of explosives inside. What's left are rusted vehicles, old fuel lines, and boots on the floor, frozen in time. In 1991, retreating Yugoslav forces abandoned several aircraft at Ljubljana Airport during Slovenia's 10-day war for independence, including a Cold War-era F-86D Sabre. Slovenia recovered it. It still exists today as a monument to the week they fought for their freedom.
Why fighter pilots can't talk during high-G maneuvers? Most people believe pilots actually can because every dogfight scene on screen has pilots shouting dialogue during extreme turns. The reality is during a 9G turn, your blood drains from your head, each breath requires massive effort, and your face literally distorts. Pilots can barely grunt, defending, or tally. Full sentences are impossible. That's why radio calls during basic fighting maneuvers are maybe 1 to 2 words max. Why is this pilot trapped inside his own F-22 Raptor? On April 10, 2006, at Langley Air Force Base, aircraft 03-041 from the 27th Fighter Squadron was running through pre-flight checks when a warning light flagged a canopy unlock problem. Crews tried cycling the canopy to clear the issue, but it locked shut instead, sealing the pilot inside. The aircraft was forced to abort on the ground. Maintenance crews called in Lockheed Martin and the F-22 program office to find a way out, but every attempt to open the canopy failed. After 5 hours trapped in the cockpit, firefighters finally cut the canopy open and freed the pilot. The cause? Loosened screws that had backed out of their mounting holes. A new canopy was expected to cost $182,000, but repairs came in at just $83,000. Why do F-16 pilots say their fighter jet is more comfortable than a commercial flight? Let me explain. The F-16 Viper is one of the U.S. Air Force's most reliable aircraft. For decades, this jet has shown how it can outperform airline seating on long flights. Reclined at nearly 30 degrees instead of the usual 13, the ACE's 2 ejection seat lets pilots sit back further than any airline seat allows. Its frameless bubble canopy gives close to 360-degree visibility, with no window frame, aisle, or seatmate blocking the view. What's crazy is that pilots can fully extend their legs, since the rudder pedals slide forward once the jet is cruising. Equipped with an adjustable air vent and custom-fitted earpieces, whoever is flying stays at a comfortable temperature and noise level the entire trip. But that's not all. Its missions work differently than commercial flights. There's no boarding process, no seatbelt sign, and no waiting, since pilots refuel mid-air through coronet missions using tanker support to stay airborne for thousands of miles, allowing a pilot to walk from their office to the jet and take off within minutes. Why do fighter jets keep getting bigger and bigger? When you picture a fighter jet, you're probably imagining a small, nimble plane. That's only partially true. The F-15 Eagle measures 63.8 feet long and weighs 68,000 pounds fully loaded. What's impressive is that the F-15 has never been shot down by another aircraft. It has a perfect combat record with 104 victories since 1976. Russia's Su-34 fullback stretches 76.5 feet long, more than half the length of a Boeing 737. It's so big the pilot and weapon system officers sit side by side instead of in tandem like other aircraft. Don't let the goofy, duck-like looks fool you. It carries 17,636 pounds of missiles. The F-22 Raptor at 62 feet was so secretive during development that they literally blew up the first prototype after testing. While other fighters are sold worldwide, the F-22 only operates with the United States. And China's J-20 Mighty Dragon weighs 70,750 pounds empty and relies purely on missiles instead of guns. These massive fighters prove that bigger really can be better. What's the real reason fighter jets don't eject their shell casings mid-fight? You might think it would just work like a regular machine gun, where as soon as the round is fired, the casing falls out of the gun. But fighter jet cannons don't do that. Every casing stays on board the jet. Here's why. The ammunition feeding system works like a conveyor belt, feeding fresh rounds into the cannon from an internal magazine. But instead of ejecting the empty casings overboard, the jet routes them into a separate storage container built right into the fuselage. So why was the jet purposely built to hold on to its empty casings? Well, as thousands of rounds fire, ammunition weight disappears fast. If that weight went unevenly, it could throw off the balance of a jet moving at hundreds of miles an hour. Keeping the empty casings on board balances that out and keeps the jet's center of gravity stable.